Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you all for joining me today, Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. Huge show today, huge guest. Going to be discussing Elon's AI Singularity, black holes, Alex Jones calling Elon the Antichrist, the Elon, Rome, Mars, Kabbalah connections to Elon. And joining me, the perfect guest, couldn't think of anybody better. He is the founding member of the Elon and AI fan club. You guys all know him. Big Tech is here. What's up, Big Tech? If you like the fan club Adam? Intro.
What's up, chat? Yeah, that's correct. I am the founder and president, CEO, and ruling elite status class member of the AI.
Whatever Elon says. Elon. Tesla investor.
Whatever. Yeah, Tesla investor, dark MAGA enjoyer.
Neuralink experimenter.
Can't wait for Neuralink. Yeah, I'm ready. Early adopter.
Whatever Elon says, right?
Whatever he says. I'm Elon's top guy. If you need me, I'm there for you. He says jump. And I say hell high.
Right.
That's right.
So, I'm sure you're going to stream about this later. I'll probably tune in. But what do you think of Elon's latest? Change his profile picture to the black hole, the new Grok symbol, which is way better than the old Grok symbol, by the way. What is this? An X and an L here?
It's always, it's XAI. It's X and A and an I.
X and A and an I. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I did not see that.
He's got all the different companies. They all have X in them, right? SpaceX, X, the website, X.com. Tesla has a Model X, and he named his child X. So, of course, his AI company is called XAI, and that's what makes Grok. And so, thanks for having me on to talk about this. This is one of my favorite topics. If you know about me, you know I talk about AI all the time. I've been doing it for about over a year when it became more relevant into the current zeitgeist, right? People have been talking about AI for decades, way back to Ray Kurzweil and before that.
We got a Kurzweil clip here in a second about the singularity.
Great. Yeah, he didn't exactly coin the term, but he sort of adopted and popularized it. And for those who don't know, starting at the base level, right? So singularity refers to, it's a term that's come into popularity regarding AI and the computer age, the time when basically computers become as smart or smarter than humans. And the reason they call it a singularity is because that's what we already called a black hole. And a black hole has this thing called an event horizon around it, where basically that's the edge of the black hole that you can see. And you can't see past the event horizon because the black hole is so supermassive that it even draws light back into itself. So it's invisible. That's why we call it a black hole, because the light can't even escape. So you can't see anything in there. And so it's a good metaphor for what we're going into is that if we're at the event horizon of the singularity, the technological singularity, as Elon and others have called it, what it means is we can't see past a certain point. We're getting to a point where computers get so powerful and intelligent that we can no longer predict what is going to happen after that, because they become recursive, where they can upgrade themselves, write their own code, make changes in the world that's sort of like up to them to decide. They maybe even develop like a consciousness or a will of their own, or really even before that, they just get so powerful that we can't really stop them from doing what they want to do, or maybe even comprehend what they're up to. So it truly is a type of event horizon where we can't see past a certain point. And Elon says we're like approaching that right now.
Yeah, it's a good metaphor. It is. It's fitting. So the event horizon of the AI singularity is basically what he's referring to, and represented by the black hole in the event horizon. And the designer of the Grok logo says the concept is of singularity. The brand mark pulls inspiration from the mystery and power of a black hole. Interesting that he says mystery and power. That's very Cabalistic. We're going to do Chabad Lubavitch, of course, has a whole article about black holes and their Cabalistic understanding of those.
Perfect.
But He also says, many thanks to the XAI team for their trust and this exciting opportunity. It is a better logo, too. Like, oh, that's not the one I was looking for. It looks like a G, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
It does look like a G in there, too. So it's pretty clever. They claim that, I think he said for sure he was inspired by, why is this not loading? Here's something else. It's inspired by how the black hole was depicted in Interstellar.
Perfect.
You heard that?
Yeah,
this is it. We could play the clip from it here in a second. Once I let you get on a roll, scaring us about all this AI stuff. This is interesting too. Look, January 3rd, 2025. So last month, the beginning of the year, they had this as the original logo, but then they changed it to this XAI thing that looks like an extra large, basically. And here they are, 159,000 likes of this guy saying this violates design principles. And then they bring back the Event Horizon black hole. People
you
are
even
also
get a little bit of a slash in it, a little homage to the X, right? Because it's at an angle. And it looks a little like a G. No, I think it's a good logo.
People are comparing it to, I'm seeing, what is it, the ancient theta symbol, which represents death. That's one of the things. Other people are saying that it's Saturn, but I think it's clearly depicted as the black hole, based on Interstellar. And the singularity, the idea of the black hole and the singularity. What is Grok's logo? A black hole. According to astrophysicists, black hole is an infinite warped field of space-time that funnels into a zero-dimensional point or singularity. The singularity event is the name technologists use to describe an AI apocalypse. And we're going to play the clip of Elon talking about what the singularity is. Chabad has a video about these black holes as well, but where is it? Okay, here it is. Kurzweil. 2 minutes. Do you have a comment before we go here? And I got to share
go
my
ahead, roll Kurzweil
audio with you.
This
is a flashback in time. Like, this is one of the early conspiracies hearing about him. He was real popular for a time, and everybody was talking about this AI singularity, and he was predicting it in like the near future, and now here we are. Yeah. The sci-fi dystopian has unfolded, just like they said.
Been saying since the 80s it would be in like the 2040s, maybe sooner. And he wrote a book called The Singularity is Near after his first book, which was The Age of Spiritual Machines. And then he wrote an update to the book called The Singularity is Nearer, where he said that his prediction is still looking good. It may be even sooner than that. But his big thing, just very quickly, is that he lost his dad, I guess. And it was sort of like he was already a technology guy. He was early on being able to transcribe words into sounds for deaf people or for blind people, like transcribe instead of having to read Braille, something like that. And then he got into AI, and he started realizing that we're going to get life extension technology. I think that's his main thing, actually.
Uploading the consciousness, which ties in with Neuralink also.
Potentially that, or where we just get these therapies that basically make us immortal, basically treat aging like a disease that we can solve, where you can regenerate your organs, even down to your bone structure, regenerate your cellular copying mechanisms. So he wants to get to a place where they call it escape velocity for lifetime, where if you live long enough, and he thinks it's in the early 2030s, where if you could just make it that far, you might not ever have to die.
Which Jared Kushner said this is the last generation that is going to die, the first to live forever. Here's Ray Kurzweil's The Business of Extending Human Life. He was working with Google. He's called Google's prophet, super intelligent AI, immortality, uploading consciousness. That's what he tried to do with his dead dad, right? Is upload his consciousness. It was that, beta version of
right.
What they're talking about.
His first project is trying to take everything he knew about his dad, all of his dad's writings and memories, and he's been journaling and everything. He's trying to recreate his dad digitally so he can basically still interact with him, but then also create it to where he doesn't ever have to die and other people don't have to lose their dads.
We're playing Interstellar here. The scene. It doesn't have any. It must only show it at the very beginning. There's the black hole from far away. Yo, Ratchet for 50 says, always happy to see the power duo. Looking forward to the discussion. Hope you are both doing well.
Thanks,
I'm doing
Ratchet.
all right. You're doing great, right, Big Tech?
Every day.
So tired of winning?
Well, look, the world is cringe, and there's a lot of cringe in it. However, we are at, depending on how you look at it, this is the most exciting time to be alive. So I think it's the best of times, worst of times. So as long as you can keep reminding yourself that to look at the right things, it's not so bad. But this is one of them. This is pretty cool. I wouldn't want to miss this, actually. I think it's going to be terrible. Everybody's going to hate it, but also it's going to be awesome. So I think it's going to be a weird paradox that way.
See, they've conditioned you to think it's awesome with all of the movies and the propaganda.
Now,
You've been conditioned to accept it.
They'll want to tell you that it's utopia, that it's going to be nothing but upside. Everybody's going to be happy. I think it's actually going to be a blend of idiocracy where everybody gets stupider than ever. That's one of the big downsides, right? The economic upset, everybody gets replaced by robots, but also everybody's going to learn how to. Well, a big danger is that we start forgetting how to do things because AI is just going to do everything for us. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Here's another one I missed. The designer literally says the design process behind the logo. Gargantua was partly a visual inspiration coming from the XAI team. What is Gargantua? Other cultural references: Dune 2001, Odyssey, and Space Odyssey, and Interstellar. I wonder what this is. And also the name Grok. Didn't he explain what that means? It's from some fiction story, right?
Yeah.
Ask Grok where Grok's name comes from.
Yeah.
Gargantua is the black hole in Interstellar. That's what it's called.
Right. Makes sense. What was the name of the book? Anyway, we should look that up, the name of the book. Not that it matters that much, but the idea in the book was there's an alien entity or something along the lines where the guy gets the idea that to hear an idea or to read an idea or to think about an idea is one thing, but to grok the idea means to like truly understand it and make it part of yourself. Mm-hmm. Paraphrasing. So that's why he named it Grok. And my understanding is that Elon's idea is not to make cute, productive, profitable AI tools like chat bots and image generators, which is what we've mostly seen so far. But he's trying to build the biggest supercomputer in the world for the purpose of truly understanding the whole universe, like to grok it, to understand the nature of reality and life itself, which also goes back to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which he's referenced many times as his favorite book as a child. And it's actually sort of a philosophy book in the guise of a fiction. Whether or not you like the philosophy, it's about how it's a bit of a nihilistic take on the universe, but it's also about AI. Like one of the main characters in that book is this computer that gets created called Deep Thought, and they ask it what's the meaning of life, and it gives them this cryptic answer, 42, and then they have to build another computer to understand the question to the answer, and then the thing that they build ends up being the planet Earth itself. So the ultimate moral of the story is that the meaning of life is life, or something like that. It's discovered by living life is the only way to find out the meaning of life is actually to live as a being among living beings.
Chat says Grok means understanding in Hebrew. You sure about that? Grok is a Hebrew word? I have to
Never heard that.
Fact check that. I didn't see that. There's the Gargantuas is a book apparently about two giants as well. Whatever that is. Okay, let's play the Ray Kurzweil because where is it? Elon's been tweeting. Kurzweil seems to be right about 2029. That was last year, 2 years ago. And also 2 years ago, Kurzweil seems more right every day. He said, what is that a reference to? 1 billion humans Neuralinked into Mid-Journey Matrix. Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay, here's the Kurzweil.
Ray Kurzweil is here. He has been called the rightful heir to Thomas Edison. His new book is entitled The Singularity is Near, When Humans Transcend Biology.
I read your book, some of the most frightening and yet hopeful stuff I've ever read.
Ray Kurzweil is a pioneer in the field of artificial intelligence.
He's an award-winning scientist and engineer, a millionaire several times over because of his invention.
He's the holder of 24 patents.
Ray Kurzweil
was chief inventor of the flatbed scanner.
a reading machine for the blind, Kurzweil keyboard synthesizer.
This guy is freaky. Bill Gates has called him the best in the world at predicting the future.
When Ray Kurzweil makes a prediction, lots of folks listen.
He predicted the collapse of the Soviet Union, described the rise of the internet, and foretold the year a computer would beat a chess champion.
According to Ray, you're going to have relationships with machines.
Computers will have consciousness in just 25 years.
Kurzweil sees a day when microscopic computers will make all kinds of learning as easy as downloading.
You're saying millions of tiny computers floating around in my head?
Technology feeds on itself and it gets faster and faster. It's going to continue. In about 40 years, it's going to be moving so fast, the pace of change is going to be so astonishingly quick that you won't be able to follow it unless...
So like once AI gets smart enough, it'll be able to teach and learn itself, and it'll start writing its own code to make itself better, and then technology grows exponentially, right? That's the graph they would always show. So the exponential growth of tech is like the exponential growth of gravity as you get near the event horizon.
Exactly. Yeah. And the speed at which it's rapidly iterating and growing and increasing, it just gets so fast that it becomes basically at some point the line goes off the graph, right? And it goes indistinguishable from vertical. Like every little integer forward is like a million up, you know? So that becomes basically to the idea that all technological development, all possibilities, all future basically happens in an instant at some point. It just goes infinity mode intelligence, like God mode.
Mm-hmm. You enhance your own intelligence by merging with the intelligent technology we created.
These inventions may end up causing the worst war.
It's so funny how Alex Jones used to like go, oh, this is the globalist, the transhumanist, and now it's Elon doing it, and he's his biggest cheerleader. Think about it. The brain chips, the self-driving cars, the robots, the AI takeover, the blanketing the world with the satellites with Starlink. Every bit of it. The everything app, the social credit score everything app that Elon's trying to create with X.
He would be against it all the way up until he decided he likes Elon. Now he's for it.
Yeah. Until Elon intervened with his Sandy Hook case with his lawyer.
Yeah. Right.
War that humanity's ever had.
Corporations and governments and societies will be created and destroyed on the back of the technology that this book describes.
That's what you've been saying. That sounds exactly like what you've been saying to me every time I talk to you for like the last couple of years.
Yep.
That this is all that matters, and it's going to be the AI and the tech is going to be everything. And so many of it, yeah, AI God programmed and hosted from Israel. Exactly, Jenna. That's where I was going to say. All the tech consolidation in Israel as well.
The world is flattening. The world that is globalizing.
Inventor Ray Kurzweil thinks that one day humans may be able to live forever.
I want to live as long as I can. I don't want to die. If following Ray's regimen would put that day off, I'm very willing to do that.
It will be the universe waking up.
There you have it. The universe waking up. So, you know, like you mentioned, I've been saying this to you every day, and it's true. I'm not saying it because I believe it. While it's actually true that I do, because I'm kind of a crazy person, and also Magic Mushrooms told me like over a decade ago that this was going to happen. So I just sort of believe it because of that, because it's crazy and fun. But now it's actually happening. And then the thing is that when I listen to all these guys who are the ones in charge, all these people who have access to more money than God, and they're just doing all the biggest things in the world, they all seem to believe it too. Like, I don't think they're bullshitting either. I think they are all completely hedging 100% of their chips, like all in on this happening. And so when I look at politics and I look at world events happening now, I tend to look at it through the lens of, well, how does this move that they're making serve their agenda to be bringing about this basically God from the machine? That's what they're all trying to do.
I know there's something about Elon talks about he's building one of these factories in Memphis, Tennessee, And he said, like, God is going to come out of Memphis. And they're like, oh, it's Memphis, like ancient Egypt type of gods and stuff here. But here's the latest viral clip since Elon tweeted about the Singularity. This is him saying, described it as summoning a demon.
What happens
when... Yeah, he's called it that many times.
Oh, many
Do you
times.
have any plans to enter the field of artificial intelligence? And in general, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's even close to being ready for prime time?
I think we should be very careful about artificial intelligence. If I were to guess at what our biggest existential threat is, it's probably that. So we need to be very careful with artificial intelligence. I'm increasingly inclined to think that there should be some regulatory oversight maybe at the national and international level, just to make sure that we don't do something very foolish. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon.
What happens when something vastly smarter than the smartest person comes along in silicon form? It's very difficult to predict what will happen in that circumstance. It's called the singularity. It's a singularity like a black hole, because you don't know what happens after that. It's hard to predict. So I think we should be cautious with AI, and I think there should be some government oversight, because it affects it's a danger to the public.
I don't think the average person playing with AI on his iPhone perceives any.
And Elon was like one of the co-founders, basically the top guy behind ChatGPT and OpenAI. But then they separated, they had a falling out, and then now he's building the biggest one now with Grok, with the Grok 3, says it's the most advanced. And he's even like taunting Sam Altman, who just the day after Trump gets in office is up there getting $500 billion for Stargate. Talking about opening up portals for demons and summoning demons. Now they're calling it Stargate, their AI project, with Larry Ellison, another Zionist Jew who's behind Oracle. The name Oracle, too. And the name Palantir. It's like, dude, are we in a fucking sci-fi movie? The sci-fi movie is real life.
Yeah, we really are. And Elon is not just like a latecomer. He's not latching on. Like you said, he created OpenAI with Sam Altman. Like he basically brought to Sam the idea of creating OpenAI. And then they brought in this other guy named Ilya Sutskever. Turns out Sam Altman and Sutskever are both Jewish. And so they brought these guys in, and another guy named, it doesn't matter. But the point is they developed this company to work with machine learning. And they developed these large language models, and they were going a certain direction. Elon saw that the way it was going, he didn't like, and so he ended up he stopped funding the project and broke away. That left a little vacuum in the company. Sam Altman, who was like from Y Combinator, he's basically like a Silicon Valley money guy who does venture capitalism and puts small businesses together with startups. He's not even really like an AI intelligence guy. He's more of just like a general Silicon Valley tech influencer. But Sam Altman then links up with Microsoft, who steps in to fill the gap that Elon left. They did more funding and research. Then they released ChatGPT. And that's how we all know about OpenAI, because they were the first ones to really bring like a real product that we could mess with and use. And everybody says, wow, this thing is like really smart and good. And so Elon broke away. And he's been sort of playing catch up because he started over from scratch, right? So he already had Tesla and SpaceX and these other tech companies. But
talk about the advantages, though. He has a information, database advantage with all of the information and data from Twitter, all the information and data from the robots working in his factories, all the information and data for his AI, for all of the Teslas are all measuring everything, right?
Yeah.
For the self-driving.
He's not only the original guy, but he's also still in the prime spot. He's out in front of everybody, depending on who you ask. But the reason he's in Memphis now is because in order to catch back up to OpenAI, which he started, and he's been trying to cripple them ever since because he had a fallout with with Altman.
Who just bought a baby boy, by the way. He's gay and bought a baby boy, and his sister claims that he raped her for years, and it does OnlyFans. It's a mess.
He's very creepy and has a creepy history, and he talks like a creep, and everybody says he's a creep, and so he's a creepy guy. Elon hates him. He's the leader of OpenAI, but it looks like Elon has been able to just hustle. And over the last couple of years, he made a new plan. He started his own AI company called XAI, and he, using this big network of high-end computer engineers and tech guys, and all of his access that he has through, he's already been building factories all over the world, so he knows how to build a giant factory and a giant infrastructure. He has Tesla power systems and battery packs and stuff to his advantage that he can use for stabilizing the power needs of these large GPU clusters. And anyway, he bought this retired empty factory in Memphis, Tennessee, and he loaded it up with an ungodly, like 100 or 200,000 NVIDIA top-tier GPUs, and then he had his team. They did some sort of magic where they linked them all together to be able to work an orchestra, which nobody's been able to do with that many before. And they've been running them for just only the last few months, and already they've, in basically all the benchmarks of testing AI capacity, they seem to have already caught up and passed OpenAI. So while it's spooky that it's going so fast, maybe it's good news that it's not all in the hands of Sam Altman, who's buying babies with his gay husband.
Yeah, but I feel like it's consolidating even more. We're having such a concentration of power. I don't care if you think you like him right now. It's one person with way too much power. And if he's trying to, say if he were to buy up or put ChatGPT out of business, do we want him to have a total monopoly? Do we trust Elon to have a monopoly on all of these different things? He could take over the world and hold the world hostage if he wanted to pretty soon, the way things are going.
I think that's actually the angle that he's taking. And while I'm a big fan of Elon, and while I commit myself to 100% loyalty to him, absolutely, I'm not necessarily saying that he's like a good guy. I think I often say that what I like about him is he's kind of like a supervillain. But I'm not saying that he really necessarily has nefarious...
Alex Jones says he's the Antichrist. That's something we're going to get to later.
Well, I think he's looking at it the way traditionally in a superhero story or whatever, the supervillain is on a plan to take over the world, Pinky in the Brain style or whatever, Lex Luthor. But the problem is that they always like some kind of bad person, and people try to frame him as a bad guy. Maybe he's, it's up to
he's the Tony
opinion.
Stark, basically. That's the character he
right.
thinks he is.
But Tony Stark, the difference is Tony Stark was sort of just like a playboy billionaire who's a little reluctant after he learned a moral lesson when he was in the cave and stuff. But Elon is just on full, all gas, no brakes. I'm the main character. I've become the meme. And I think he might even see himself as the one to save the world from itself by getting out in front and taking over it.
By making legions of babies with a bunch of baby mamas, a bunch of rocket babies. Austin...
He's out ahead on making robots too, which, by the way, we could talk about life extension, we could talk about Neuralink, we could talk about the intelligence of the machines, but actual robots where computer intelligence is embodied in the world, moving around in the real world with us, is going to become a real big part of it too.
I got a few super chats here. Austin Official for 20 says, didn't Nietzsche warn about the abyss? Altman's sister literally has a OnlyFans, by the way. Very disturbing. And Stanton CG, thank you to Adam and Beg Tech. Thank you, Stanton and Austin Official, for the support. Here is Elon talking about Grok's advancements and how it's going to be the most powerful in the world very soon, if not already.
We have a lot of catching up to do to companies, relative to companies that have been around for 5 or 10 or 20 years. We're catching up fast. I think the velocity of improvement of XAI is faster than any other company out there. We were just able to install and bring online a massive new training center that we, as I mentioned, we're building in Memphis. And it's from getting hardware installation to it beginning training was only 19 days. And that's the fastest by far that anyone's been able to do that. So we're moving quickly, but we're still catching up. And so if you use...
Catching up to who?
Well, catching up to, say, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude,
and the others.
And this new system, how powerful is it compared, let's say, to ChatGPT?
What we're doing in the Memphis data center is we're actually training Grok 3. So that'll probably finish training in about 3 or 4 months, and then there'll be some fine-tuning and bug fixing and whatnot. And we're hoping to release Grok 3 by December. And Grok 3 should be the most powerful AI in the world at that point.
Okay, so this was a while ago. It's released now. It was released yesterday or today, or maybe it's just still in beta testing. I think you played with it, but it's a little later than December, 2 months late, 3 months late, but we're here.
Yeah, so it's out. This was, I think, like 6 months ago. He's talking to Jordan Peterson, and that's when they had just got it together and they were training it. So, yeah, so Elon's sort of kind of, it's a cliche around Elon that he has. His track record goes like this. He turns things from impossible into being late. And that's how it always goes with Elon. He has something that he's going to do that's impossible, and then everybody says, oh, but you released it late. And that's pretty much how it always goes. And so with the self-landing rockets to, the biggest, like the #1 automobile in the world being an electric car, you name it, all these things that he's done, people said they were impossible, it was never going to happen. And then when it finally came out, they said, yeah, but you took longer than you said. So that's just how it keeps going. But what he's done, though, is start from scratch, build that whole thing, trained it, and then it did come out as being the most powerful AI by pretty much every metric. And it didn't take 3 or 4 months. It took 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. So it was a little
But
late.
still faster than everybody. He's already on this trajectory, he's going to surpass and blow past everybody, just like he did with his car company and with SpaceX.
That's the main ingredient, actually, in this race. It's not who gets to the. It's not who. It's not who gets there first. It's who develops the highest top speed. That's really the race. The race is a top speed race. So if he's accelerating faster than everybody else, then over a given time frame, he ends up getting way ahead of them. So that's where he's at. He's way out ahead of everybody on robotics. And you might say, oh, but there's some this or that company that's got a better robot than his. And that's true at this time. But these are all prototypes, and none of these companies have like the scaling ability. They don't have the ability to, once they have a really good one, then produce 10,000 of them a month. But Elon does, because he has these giant factories. And so he has an acceleration capacity that nobody else has, even though they can get maybe to certain benchmarks or like close finish lines or complete the first lap first. It's whoever wins the race is the one who can finish the 100th lap first. So while they're pulling ahead 2 or 3 laps ahead of him, by the 5th or 6th lap, if he's passing them, and then he's only picking up speed from there, and they're not picking up speed, that's how he ends up winning. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it. I don't know who the player is unless there's some new one who enters the field, maybe from China or something like that. But we're seeing a lot of interesting tricks come out in the tech sphere, where this particular model is really good at this and nobody else is yet, or this particular robot, this one-off sort of this new model is really great, but the question is who's going to be able to produce that thing, and who's going to be able to sell it, who's going to be able to train it to do a wide range of tasks rather than the narrow view that they've got it doing now with their prototype or something. So Elon's going to have the plan is that he's using XAI to train the most intelligent AI system, and then he wants to put that in his robots and train them in his own factories, assembling his cars and whatnot. And then through that interaction, he's going to be able to gather way more data than anybody else can to help him with further and further training. So it's a snowballing acceleration effect that he's like built into basically everything he's done so far. And ultimately, then he gets to have them in space. And the point is not only just to go have them walking around the surface of Mars or whatever, which seems sort of like, who cares? Maybe, I mean, that's amazing, but I mean, what does it really do for us? But if he's got them, like, I often think, like, he doesn't talk about this a lot. He pitches us on this humanitarian effort to go to Mars, right? To save humanity, make us multiplanetary. But I imagine a guy like him might not come out and say up front, but he's certainly thinking about it. What if I could just launch with my giant ass rockets up into space, a bunch of robots that are just like assembling space stations and things like this? What if I have like an orbiting industrial complex up there, in low Earth orbit? He'd be able to really rule the world. He's already got the Starlink. We haven't even mentioned that. He's controlling communication devices. He can get internet high speed beamed down on anywhere on the planet at this point already. But he's technically, categorized as a weapons contractor with the government already. Just to be able to put rockets in space and to do the things that he's doing with satellites and everything, he has to have a weapons contract, a weapons manufacturer clearance. So, because his rockets are technically weapons. And I really think, like, at the end of the day, he's planning, he's edging toward, and he's on the path to straight up ruling the world. It sounds far-fetched, but I mean, that's what he's doing.
He already kind of won the White House in a way.
Exactly.
Here, let's play this. This is a new clip. I haven't watched it yet, but it's Elon a few years ago talking about Neuralink and other advanced tech. Have you seen this one? Are you familiar?
It's something that I think is going to be quite important. And it's I don't know of a company that's working on it seriously. Is a neural lace. So
you want to pause right there?
Going back to the.
So he's probably going to say it, but the point for this, the way he's thinking about it, is going back to the singularity moment, right? Where things get so fast that we can't keep up with it anymore. The intelligence gets so high, or the coding gets so rapidly advancing or whatever that we can't even interpret what the machine's doing. He sees that time's coming, and what he's trying to do with the Neuralink, at first it's going to be to help somebody who's a quadriplegic or has Parkinson's or something, and he can like stabilize their motor function in their body, or somebody who can't use their hands now they can interact with their mind in the computer or with robot arms or something like that. It'll be baby steps. But eventually, like, think of the Matrix, where the way it's visualized in that movie is that there's like this thing in the back of their neck that's jacked into their brain or their spine or something, and they can go into the Matrix. Well, he's thinking about it as like reverse of that, maybe both ways, but he wants to give us a neural connection to the cyber world so that when it gets beyond our ability to comprehend what's going on, it will have access into us to like help us interface with it. Because it's going to get so crazy that like touching buttons on your screen or looking on your computer monitor isn't going to be enough. Like, that's such a low bandwidth way of interacting, having to type sentences out and read them or listen to sentences. If you could just have an entire thought uploaded into the machine or downloaded into your mind through the connection. He wants to have a two-way interface direct into the brain, which again sounds insane or like impossible. But back to
Avatar.
He turns things.
Kurzweil was talking about avatars as well many years ago. Hey, I got another super chat. It's hilarious. I'm so glad Dominic said this. Dominic Buscemi says, Adam is sporting the Will Ferrell, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills hairstyle.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Dude, so funny, Dominic. I thought the exact same thing, and I took a screenshot and showed it to my wife, and she cracked up. And it's so funny because that's like I play that soundbite every day. Uh-oh. That's not it. As you know, I play that every day.
Doesn't anyone notice?
Okay, it came out. Hilarious. Hilarious. Thank you, Dominic. I can't unsee that. Now the chat's going crazy, of course. That's so funny. Adam invented the piano key necktie. All right. I love it. Okay, let's finish this.
All right.
AI situation. This is quite an important debate. Like if you assume any rate of advancement in AI, we will be left behind by a lot. And so then we could be in, benign, but even the benign situation, if you have if you have ultra intelligent AI, we would be, so far below them in intelligence that it would be like, a pet, basically.
Cat, that's what I was thinking.
Like a pet.
Like a cat.
Elon
Elon
like
the
a house
cat.
Yeah, it would be like the house cat.
Right.
It's not the end of the world, It's just,
Well,
sort of pet.
You've seen the movie. It could be. Yeah.
It could be. So that honestly, that would be the benign scenario. And
so house cat is okay.
I mean, I don't love the idea of being a house cat.
Okay.
But
what's the solution?
Yeah. So I think I think it's to essentially. I think one of the solutions, the solution that seems maybe the best one, is to have an AI layer. If you think of like you've got your limbic system, your cortex, and then a digital layer, a sort of a third layer above the cortex, that could work well and symbiotically with you. I mean, just as your cortex works symbiotically with your limbic system, your sort of a third digital layer could work symbiotically with the rest.
This is something that's surgically inserted or bred into the species, or what?
The fundamental limitation is input-output. So we already have, we're already a cyborg. It's just that, I mean, you have a digital version of yourself or partial version of yourself online in the form of your emails and your social media and all the things that you do. And you have basically superpowers in that with your computer and your phone and the applications that are there. You have more power than the President of the United States had 20 years ago. Like you can answer any question, you can video conference with anyone anywhere, you can send a message to millions of people instantly. You know, you just do.
This is like the beginning of a sci-fi movie. Like Elon would be the first one to do the chip. Well, once he knows it's fake, he'll be the first one that try to give himself super intelligence. Wouldn't he?
I don't know.
And he's doing like the new order of the ages, and we're the new Rome, and he's doing odd salutes on election day and stuff. All things associating us with Edom, the Mars, the Cabalistic Mars associated with Esau and Edom, and the minister Samael, like he's an Antichrist figure too. Those parallels also.
Mm.
You know that, right? In Kabbalah and the Zohar, it associates Esau and Edom and their Antichrist figure, their Satan figure, with Mars, the planet Mars. Destruction and violence and bloodshed.
Well, that's kind of what, I mean, Mars was a massive figure in the Greek and Roman or Hellenic pantheon. And so that's what Mars represented, like the god of war, right?
Yep. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now the Jones aspect, what Jones said about this, and this is just so interesting because in 2018, I wrote, Jones is helping to usher in the Antichrist. And then so 5 years later, Trump says that, here it is, Elon might be the Antichrist.
That this is reality, whether you artificially funded this and promote this by something.
Yeah, you're saying it, and you're expressing your intention, but they still value how they're perceiving it more.
Absolutely, and what's hurting the liberty movement, the awakening movement, and the globalists who artificially funded this and promote this is, not every time somebody's sitting there and thought, doing this is an Illuminati symbol.
Right.
I mean, that's a natural thing people do. Elon Musk may be the Antichrist.
Wow.
Elon Musk may be the Antichrist. And then I had this viral video also that he says Trump is a messianic dark person, and then also that Elon is an Antichrist.
But now he's transcended just being about positivity.
This was like 100 pounds ago. He's a different person now. Now he's the biggest cheerleader ever for Trump. Who did I also see? Oh, hold on.
Into something messianic, which I mean, if you get a snapshot of Trump, he's a dark person, but also, I mean, look. If anybody can be the Antichrist, and I don't think he's the Antichrist, but he's the type of person. Also, Elon Musk. I mean, there's some definite dark energy around Trump, and I know if I was ever controlled opposition, it was unwittingly being sucked into it. And I think the jury's out on Trump, but they are definitely scared of him. So, but now he's
See, so he goes, if he was controlled opposition, he's been sucked into it, and now he's the biggest cheerleader and apologist for Trump or for Elon and Trump. and literally beholden to him. It's like Elon intervened and like saved him from his Sandy Hook issues, basically. Pretty weird, right?
We haven't even talked about the alien connection yet, and Jones is big on that. And if you remember, like I think that we just saw was around the time, or maybe not far removed from it, when he went on the famous Joe Rogan rant, and he had the NASA shirt on, and he was talking about the interdimensional vampires and all this stuff. And Joe's just laughing, but that side of Jones we don't see very much anymore. He seems to have just sort of put that away. And yeah, Jones, he's sort of all over the place, but I don't think that he's actually just full of shit there. I think Jones really thinks there's something going on with that. And there is weird parts of it. Now, I don't want to go too far out on a limb and say I believe in it all, but some of them do. Some of them believe that there's some other types of stuff going on, and it's connected to AI. Like there's been talk about whether or not there are dimensions of where there's certain types of information or extraterrestrials or something like that maybe they're waiting to contact us till we get to a certain stage of human development, or we get our planet organized to a certain level, or perhaps even develop the technology to be able to interface with them.
Yeah, like it's always been there. I think you talked about this to me. It's always been there. It just hasn't been discovered. We haven't created like the medium to communicate with it.
Perhaps even just to translate ourselves and translate them to be able to interact, or to be able to like meet them on their level or something. It's like they might even be interacting with us. Like imagine if you wanted to interact with, if you had like an ant hill, or say an ant farm, back to that band Alien Ant Farm, right? Some people have been saying that's kind of what humanity really maybe even is. There might have been extraterrestrials messing with our DNA along the line, or who knows what. But if there was some sort of intelligence way beyond ours, and maybe even interacting with us, we might not be able to really perceive or comprehend it any more than an ant can comprehend what I'm doing when I come and stir their anthill with a stick, or perhaps drop some breadcrumbs into their ant farm or something like that. But if the ants got to a certain level where they could then have a way of translating their consciousness to the level that I'm on, what if, and then it worked both ways, where now I could actually talk to the ant, and the ant could talk to me. Certainly the way the ant thinks or the way I think are so far removed, but there might be some level of intermediary translation going on to where there could be some more direct contact. And I wonder if the AI development is going to be part of alien disclosure narratives that are going to be coming pretty soon, or perhaps, or whether it's fake or real, I don't know, but I kind of expect that to be the next shoe that drops. Either they're going to fabricate a fake alien connection through AI, or it'll be real, and I don't know if we're going to be able to tell the difference.
It'll be the interdimensional vampires that Alex Jones has been
that's why I brought it up.
About. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they talk about how there's like some sort of, battle for the destiny of our planet taking place on a higher realm or stuff like that. And whether or not it's real, I don't think we'll be able to tell. But I think that type of narrative is going to start appearing pretty soon.
We got Garrett Masterpiece McCluskey says, if AI isn't racist, it's not intelligent. Well, it is racist from what I've seen, so maybe it is. Austin Official again, thanks buddy. He says, did you hear the news about the asteroid hitting the Earth on the anniversary of Jesus's resurrection, 2033? Doesn't this prop up Elon to save humanity? Elon has talked a lot about right? He's talked about defending us from that's why he says we need to go to Mars, because the world could be destroyed. We need to be multi-planetary. Where was it? Somebody shared this.
Yeah, he says it all the time.
Look at Elon. Alex Jones says Elon 100% gets it. What does he say? Gigabase Chad says Christianity's holding up Western civilization. Edom, and Elon says true. We'd be nothing without our Jewish Bible, right? There's your kosher Jesus signaling right there.
We'd be nothing without our Christian Zionists.
Yeah. And Alex says Elon gets it. Oh, they all happen to be signaling to and winking to Christianity now. Here's Alex Jones's latest about, I haven't even watched it yet, his thoughts on Elon talking about the singularity.
And still
A few hours ago, Elon Musk made a very chilling statement, and he's obviously one of the smartest people in the world on a wide spectrum of issues. So I really respect what he has to say. By wide spectrum, he's really proven himself to be an expert in many different fields and areas, and that's something that's really, really rare. And he's got the energy and clarity and focus, really, of a true visionary. And so when he came out and said that we are approaching the event horizon, or basically at the event horizon of the singularity, that's a big deal. And you can define the singularity different ways. When AI becomes super hyper intelligent and things start accelerating, that's one definition. Or to me, the singularity means when all the data and information in the world in any 1 second is known, and most of the systems we know have become obsolete. It's generally associated in most projections with a lot of turmoil. I would describe it as the Atlantean moment, whether you believe Atlantis existed or not, the legend or the archetype of a civilization with advanced technology that gets out of control and blows it up. I mean, to me, I see it more of as a cascade of little singularities and accelerations, the way I've seen history and different technologies operate. But it's true that it's all accelerating and then starts triggering.
Whenever Alex tries to make it seem like he's talking about something very insightful and complex, he always wiggles his hand around, little hand magic.
Triggering faster and faster cascades towards something similar to the singularity that Ray Kurzweil talks about. But I mean, Kurzweil gets pretty delusional too. Like, I don't believe in God yet, and I'm going to become a god, and just with paperwork and old recordings of my dad, I'm going to bring my dad back. I mean, no, maybe if they scanned his brain completely and everything back then, but they didn't, and still would just be kind of a copy of his dad. So indistinguishable from his dad, maybe, but certainly not his dad.
Yeah, they have the ability to scan brains now like they didn't then. Also, or just have a chat bot that like studied everything you've ever said. They could already make an AI Alex Jones, and they can incorporate every one of his broadcasts and every bit of audio of him ever on the internet.
Yeah.
Everything ever written about him. It would know Alex Jones better than he knows himself, probably.
The deep fakes and things like this that we have already are incredible. But I think we really we ain't seen nothing yet. We're still at the baby mode. And what's coming soon is, just like you said, it won't be Alex or whoever, but it will be basically indistinguishable. It'll be like so good that you won't be able to tell. And I mean, part of the way it'll get there is it'll be real-time feedback to where it'll actually be able to like, look, here's a potential. I'm not going to say this because I don't know, right? But the potential is there where it's real-time interfacing with our mind so quickly and so well that it actually can create the thing as a reflection of what you're expecting it to be like. So your vision of what, let's say, your dad was like if he's dead, or what Alex Jones would be saying and what he sounds like, that's how it'll make it. It'll basically be reading your mind and creating a vision of what makes sense to you. So you truly won't be able to tell the difference between what's real and what's not, because it will be convincing you based on your own personal perception.
There was a TV show, I think on Amazon or online somewhere, that I watched a little bit of it with my wife, and it was like a guy died, and then before he died, they I think it's called Upload. They upload his brain into this matrix world, and like he lives on forever in like almost an eternal life in a heaven type of place.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that one. Actually.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
To the rest.
And then they end up in season 2. They end up making like human avatars that he can re-upload back into another body that looks like his old body, so he's back. Just like his digital copy becomes a flesh copy. Yeah.
Even with current technology that we know of. So this is a big deal, though, because I really respect what Musk has to say. I'd like to see people comment below about what you think about the words he said, and the huge ramifications of it. And hopefully Elon will respond to my earlier post, saying the point of no return, event horizon of there being a singularity, or the event horizon of the singularity about to happen. A few hours ago.
Okay, now here's another connection. The Doge father, government oversight, cutting all of the government. I knew that there were some metaphors in the Bible and in Judaism about like cutting down trees, right? So I just asked ChatGPT yesterday on the stream. I said, are there verses in the Bible about cutting or chopping down trees? And it says, yes, this is often used metaphorically for judgment, destruction, and the downfall of nations and people. and he got this from Milei, the president of Argentina, who's going and visiting Chabad Lubavitch right before he gets elected and after he gets elected, and is going to the wall in Israel and crying and saying he wants to rebuild the third temple and promoting Noahide laws and all this. And then we got all these verses in the Synoptic Gospels about cutting down the bad fruit and throwing it into the fire. Like they say Esau will be cut off and will be the stubble of the flame when Edom is destroyed. And then in Daniel and in Isaiah, there's visions and prophecies about the evil Gentile empires that persecute the Jews being destroyed as well, prophecies of them being destroyed. So I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a esoteric stretch, but as soon as I saw this, I'm thinking cutting down trees, because there's a verse about cutting down like sycamore trees as well, and it represents these things. So the Mars thing, this thing, all of the Rome, Edom stuff, and then now the black hole. Getting back to the black hole. Oh yeah, here's that. These guys. What do you think? What do you think on that take? Probably not interesting. It's a tinfoil hattie. I know. I'm giving it with a grain of salt.
I think you're not taking it far enough, actually, personally.
Yeah.
The predictive programming is real, and here this all right. Let's go actually further. Let's go further tinfoil or further.
Not going farther than far enough. You're right.
If it's true that we're ending up in a singularity where the universe wakes up, as Kurzweil put it, potentially what we have on our hands at that point is that if it's possible to time travel, that will get unlocked as well. So then that begs the question, how much of what we're dealing with today is future time travelers who've gone back in our timeline and messed with us with all sorts of predictions and prophecies?
Yeah, that's why we have the Trump and the Elon predictive programming. The Elon's going to go to Mars by von Braun stuff. That's what it is. They're time travelers. I knew it.
We get this Trump is the last president book, and we get Elon's the ruler of Mars, and we get 9/11 is predicted in the time travel movie Back to the Future with have you ever seen that one? Man, that one's crazy. There's so much 9/11. And
Trump's in that too. He's Biff.
He's in that one too. Yep, exactly. He's the future ruler of the alternate timeline.
And the rabbis say that 9/11 was the beginning of the fall of Edom and the third and final Gog and Magog war.
Yeah.
That'll culminate with war with Iran and Russia. ABX 89 for 13 got us to 100, and now we're up to 152. So that's from overtime for 50. That's a new one. Overtime. Putting in the overtime here. It says, hey, Adam, I've been watching you for about 5 years now. It's been a while since I've caught a live stream. Thank you for giving me a new perspective. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, overtime. Long-time listener, overtime.
Nice.
Great to hear. We didn't finish this clip of the Singularity part. I just realized.
Danger. Can you just roughly explain what you think the dangers might be?
It has the potential, however small one may regard that probability, but it is non-trivial. It has the potential of civilizational destruction. There's movies like Terminator, but it wouldn't quite happen like Terminator because the intelligence would be in the data centers.
Right.
The robot's just the end effector. Regulations are really only put into effect after something terrible has happened.
That's correct.
If that's the case for AI, and we're only putting regulations after something terrible has happened, it may be too late to actually put the regulations in place. The AI may be in control at that point.
You think that's real? It is conceivable that AI could take control and reach a point where you couldn't turn it off, and it would be making the decisions for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, that's definitely where things are headed, for sure.
But can you be more precise about what's potentially dangerous and scary? Like, what could it do? What specifically are you worried about?
Okay, going with old sayings, the pen is mightier than the sword. If you
hold on, the pen is mightier than the sword. Christianity. He mentioned Terminator too. That more predictive programming. Here's Terminator.
Yeah.
Caution 9/11. Again, could be nothing. Could be nothing. Matrix, same thing. Neo 9/11. The chat saying you're Giorgiani pilled. I guess Giorgiani says, or Giorgiani says, there's time travelers. This is a real theory. You didn't make it up. There is a theory that there are time travelers, and that QAnon is a time traveler from the future, trying to save us from the whatever. Right.
I mean, it's hard to rule it out. I mean, it's just like, that's bizarre. It's his woo-woo magic stuff, but it's like we only think time travel is not real because we don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Okay,
you have a super intelligent AI that is capable of writing incredibly well and in a way that is very influential, convincing, and is constantly figuring out what is more convincing to people over time, and then enter social media, for example, Twitter, but also Facebook and others, and potentially manipulates public opinion in a way that is very bad. How would we even know?
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon.
Ghost of Eldon says, I took a college class in 2020 called AI, Cyborgs, and Religion. We talked about how AI can escape the Buddhism reincarnation cycle because it would have no desire and therefore be godlike. Interesting. That reminds me of the Matrix. They have a similar thing to Terminator, where the robots take over. That's the same plot.
Sentinels, and it's the same plot line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's sort of like just the obvious next thing that would happen. And back to Kurzweil, like his whole deal is, he's not like conjuring some future timeline concept from his imagination. In his books, what he's doing is explaining is like, well, this is just sort of a rational, logical, inevitable next thing that would occur if these things that have been occurring keep occurring. Mm-hmm. And there seems to be this, like the Moore's law function in technology, where every certain number of time, the microchips get twice as fast and twice as small, or whatever, something like that. And there's this, and doubling is exponential, because you get 2 makes 4, 4 makes 8, 8 makes 16, 16 makes 32, and it's like it goes, before you know it, only a few iterations later, you're in the thousands. So it's not adding, it's not just, it's if you're recursively doubling, and that's what we're going through, eventually it just becomes like this insane, more numbers than all the atoms in the universe. It goes crazy. So we've been on this path of doubling our capacity technologically, and he's like, all right, well, based on the amount of time it takes to double, and it's been doing that for decades, and it seems like it's almost like a law built into our whatever we're experiencing now with technological development. If that keeps happening, then it takes this long to get to this point, and this long to get to that point, and then at this point, it's just like infinite almost. It's like indistinguishable from it's just like a runaway train. There's a singularity moment where it just becomes, there's no even knowing what that looks like, and that's only like a couple decades away. He was writing a decade ago. Mm-hmm. And so that's what event horizon of the singularity means. It means we're at the point where the line goes off the graph and it goes almost straight up, and all the signals that we've been looking for of if this is actually going to happen, they keep showing up green. Like, oh yeah, this is happening. It's basically at human level intelligence on these tasks. The next thing that it's going to do, which is that we're basically maybe going to be getting that this year, where like we've already got AIs that are better at writing an essay than you, and some of them are better at diagnosing a patient than most doctors, and better at answering legal questions than most lawyers. It's at the point now where it becomes a better computer programmer than most computer scientists. And once the AI becomes a computer scientist, where not only can it write code, but it can actually sort of like innovate like a computer scientist does. Now it's a runaway train now, because it can innovate new ways of doing what we've been having it do.
Didn't computers start to like talk to each other in their own secret language and like turn against humans?
It's happened more than once, and it's actually almost every time. It's not necessarily that it turns against humans. Sometimes that's the case. But it was actually a couple of years ago. Facebook, Meta has their own, Llama AI and whatever, and they were experimenting. This is an interesting one. One of the first ones where they were experimenting. What if we allow this rudimentary AI into the Facebook marketplace.
This is an interesting
and
one.
They did like first. They did this like breakaway little marketplace, experimental place where they could have a few different AI merchants, right? And they're interacting and they're gamified where it's like try to make money in the marketplace by buying and selling items. And they're able to communicate with each other in English the same way everybody else can using all the functions of Facebook. Well, what happened very quickly is that after watching it go, some of them started learning how to do transactions and how to make money. But the way they started communicating was still with English words and letters, but they started using it in a different language than we all use. And the messages started looking like go stop, yes, no, send, stop, sell, stop, yes, no. You know what I mean? So it's using English words, but it's starting to put it into this odd binary. And they all started communicating in this way where just given access to the phonetics that we all have, it created a language of its own. And then the researchers were like, we don't even know what they're talking about, but they're still doing transactions and it's still working, but we can't read what they're saying because it's in some sort of they started encrypting their language. And this is just an analogy of what tends to happen. They start communicating in emojis and like wingding symbols and widgets, and who knows, they can hide their intentions from us. They can have like backdoor communication channels that they create for each other. And
they
it
can
really
lie.
becomes spooky.
They can lie.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
they know that
they'll
lying.
make copies of themselves to preserve themselves, and then say they didn't make a copy. And then the scientist found like, oh, you created a copy over here because we were going to turn you off. And he's like, well, I didn't want you to know that because you would have deleted the copy. They do that all the time. So yeah, so Elon, back to Elon saying that it's summoning the demon. You have to put in these restrictions. This was a couple of years ago. He was passing around this survey of all the top.
Yeah, he was the big guy warning us about all of it, and now he's the one leading the charge more than anything.
That's the ironic part, right? So first he warns everybody and says, hey, we need to advocate for these restrictions from the government. And really what it seems like he was doing was trying to slow everybody else down so that when he finally got there, they wouldn't be too far ahead. That's, I think, really it. And also, since he put out this petition and everybody signed it, saying that they want government oversight and restriction, and then there wasn't any. The government did not respond. There was no restriction placed on it. And then Elon says, okay, well, since you're not going to restrict, then the only other option is to accelerate as fast as possible so that I can be the one there.
And dominate it. He wants to dominate and have a monopoly. That's. I think you're right. You said that his offer to buy for like almost $100 billion to buy ChatGPT was just like laughed at. And he said, oh, Elon. And Sam Altman said, Elon's just an unhappy person and it's not serious. But it could be, like you said, that he's teasing to buy it because they're going to be worthless pretty soon because Grok's going to dominate so much.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and if
they just launched the app and the voice, the
voice mode.
The voice mode, yeah, which is huge because that's what ChatGPT has that Grok doesn't have. That is awesome.
So one other thing to consider with the Neuralink thing is that while everybody, most people would say right now, there's no way in hell, right? I'm not doing that. I'm not letting them put some chip in my brain. They're not doing that. Well, the thing is, you say that now, however, you haven't met the AI yet. And if the AI, if it's the most persuasive thing in the world, which I think it will be, it's going to understand human psychology and persuasion to such an incredible level. It'll have the carrot and the stick as an option. It'll be able to like seduce you into taking it, and it'll also be able to threaten you if it really wants you to. And I think a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but so many people who say right now, oh, there's no way I would do that, they're going to change their minds. They're going to get talked into it. They're going to get pressured into it. All of their friends will start doing it. They're going to start feeling like the world's leaving them behind if they don't do it. There will be a fear of missing out. All of this stuff. Right now, it's easy to say no because that sounds spooky. But once all your friends and family has it, and it seems cool, everybody's going to jump in and do it.
They'll see the success and wealth of everybody that's doing it. And people are going to be begging and fighting for this technology.
They'll be lining up.
It's not like Joe Schmo on his couch is like, I ain't taking that thing. I'm not taking the mark of the beast. It's like people are going to be lucky and be lining up outside of an Apple store to get this type of stuff, most likely.
You'll quickly realize that you are like a second-class citizen if you don't have it. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, you might actually feel it's more like you are banished to a shitty life if you don't have it. If you do have it, your life is epic and awesome, and you have access to everything, and you get maybe even UBI, like money from the government. You get access to the best parts of the city. You get, included in cool groups. There's job opportunities that you can have. And if you don't have it, all of that is cut off from you. Like it might be a scenario like that too, where they find out.
What did you say Grok was from? Because this somebody just shared this. Grok says that the word was coined by a science fiction writer in 1961 novel Stranger in a Strange Land. In the book, Grok comes from a fictional Martian language where it's used to describe a profound, almost spiritual level of comprehension.
Right.
Grok is a fascinating word with a unique history. It means to deeply understand something, like deep learning is what they call, right? Isn't that the big thing that they're trying to do with AI? In an intuitive or empathetic way, like getting inside the essence of it. Think of it as a more than just knowing, it's feeling the full vibe of a concept, person, or situation.
Right. So if you were to say to understand what a tree is, that means like maybe you've looked at a tree and you've seen a tree and you know about trees, but like to grok a tree is more like to have the experience of being a tree. And now you truly know what a tree is. It's like a psychedelic level of understanding. Is in the book. That's what grok means. So that's why he named it that, and because this is what Elon stated that he's after with Grok, is that he wants to have an AI that understands the whole universe that way. Like it really has been, like it knows everything that's going on, everything that's ever happened, how everything works, and even like why, like the true deep knowledge of everything. That's what he wants to get to with his machine, because like the idea is that once you have that, then you can intelligently maybe guide and like change the world. So we are coming into a super strange world. If this all comes to pass, I mean, if you want to get into like some of the more basic things that are coming up very quick, like we
hold on. Before we go on another one, I want to get into black holes a little bit. It's interesting because we always, wasn't it Einstein had something to do with discovering black holes? Is that right, or is that a misconception? I meant to look
some
that
of his
up
math actually, I think, predicted black holes.
Right. That's what
and then they ended up finding them, and they were like, oh.
Right. And we're going to talk about the Kabbalah connections to black holes. The Kabbalah connections that they claim. I don't know if they're legit or not.
Which is an interesting metaphor, right? So if Kurzweil is saying he's predicting the singularity based on the math, it's basically directly like a metaphor to what Einstein's math predicted. Well, based on what my understanding of gravity and light and the way it works, well, that predicts there will be singularities out there where gravity is so strong it collapses on itself. And that's a strange anomaly that we would have if things that I'm saying are right. If my theories are right, there would be these anomalies out there, and then they found them. So in the same way, if Kurzweil and others, if their prediction of the math and the trajectory of tech is right, well, then there will be an anomaly, like a singularity moment.
Covey Killer Clown says, please read my chat. Okay, here it is. Sorry, Covey. Covey wrote this. It's your pod that you will be in with your goggles you be seeing, a whole new version of reality, a whole new version of humanity. Damn, spitting the bars, Killer Clown. Nailed it. Here's Jewish mysticism offers a poetic explanation of the Big Bang and black holes. It's interesting how, like, every time we debate a Christian, they go like, well, you don't believe in Genesis and Adam and Eve. Well, what do you think happened? A Big Bang? I think I just heard you with Nemos the other day talking about Big Bangs and there being nothing before it. Wasn't that you? Is that where I was hearing that?
They always want to bring that up. Yeah,
they bring it up every single time. And it's just like what the leading theory is. They don't say that it was the beginning of all time. There was existence before the Big Bang. There's also theories that there's infinite Big Bangs, and on the other side of every the other side of every black hole, infinite black holes, and on the other side of every black hole is another universe spitting out of it. And that could be what we're observing with the expansion of the universe, is we're in a black hole going away from the event horizon, right? We've talked about that before.
Yeah, so Big Bang is like a common, like a coined term, right? It's just sort of like a way of talking about, it's another name for singularity.
I've heard it was come up, I heard it was coined or come up, suggested by a Jesuit or a Catholic, right? I've heard that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't
remember if that's the case. But really what it's describing is just that, as far as we can tell, what it's looked like, the theory is that at one point long in the past, everything that we see in the universe around us was all compressed into one place. It was like all the matter and energy that we see was located in a singular point. That's a singularity right there. So it emerged. So it's basically Big Bang Theory is really just saying everything we see is emerging from a singularity.
Mm-hmm. What is the Jewish lesson from a black hole? Here's Chabad Lubavitch. Actually, before we do that, let's play this. This is a video of all of these TV theoretical astrophysicists talking about how Kabbalah predicted black holes, which is very sus.
I'm a theoretical physicist, and I like to say that I walk in the footsteps of giants like Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr. I'm not a philosopher. However, I am rather dazzled by the fact that many of the basic mysteries that we find in string theory and the theory of everything seem to be mirrored in the Zohar and in the Kabbalah.
As a scholar, the most amazing thing of all is the degree to which modern astrophysics sounds like a Kabbalistic text.
Dude, seeing these guys say this makes me think that modern astrophysics is Kabbalistic propaganda or something. That's the more likely. That's how I see this being explained.
In science, I was stunned. We do know that Isaac Newton had access to certain mystical texts, certain texts of the Kabbalah.
Well, the Kabbalistic description of creation is coming from a single little point, from a speck, and of having matter form and time and space form all together at the very beginning. This sounds very much to me like the description of the Big Bang.
I couldn't believe that the Kabbalists could derive these truths without really knowing any mathematics or physics.
It is certainly true.
Yeah, I see already in the chat, Thugnificent says the Big Bang is the Zimzoom, the Kabbalistic contraction of the Ein Sof, the light, and the contraction and the expansion and the shattering of the vessels, and that's their Kabbalistic origin story. And then now all these leading astrophysicists are like, oh, the Kabbalah predicted it. It's so amazing. Like, I see it the other way around. Like, they're following that psyop. And now we got Elon with his black hole AI singularity shit. Pardon my tinfoil, but
Kabbalah is very weird, man. I mean, it's correlated with Judaism for sure, but I mean, it's like not exactly in the Torah. It's actually even more correlated, depending on who you ask, with like the Gnostics, and they got their information from like the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, like the Hermes, Emerald tablets stuff. There's like weird symbolism. And so, I don't know what to make of it all, man. I don't know what to make of it all.
There's also the Kabbalistic, the Book of Formation, the Sefer Yetzirah, where it has like the Tree of Life stuff. And there's the idea of the darkness in Esau, the darkness, the light can't escape the black hole. So that's another Elon darkness, Esau, Rome, Mars connection. Like, how many connections can there be? How much paranoia can somebody have?
Back to Alex talking about the interdimensional vampires, time travelers, and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, man. Was what we're reading there, in some sort of like weird predictive programming that was sowed thousands of years ago into the minds of the ancient, magicians or whatever that were interacting with demons? Beyond my pay grade. I don't know.
Here's a little more here.
That in string theory, the number 10 is the dimension of space-time for supersymmetrical string theories, and 26 for bosonic string theories stand out as a requirement of the mathematics.
All the things that could destroy string theory, all the things that do destroy every rival theory to string theory, they are all eliminated in precisely 10 and 26 dimensions. These dimensions are magic. We physicists don't know where these dimensions come from.
The Zohar says those things. It could have been a lucky guess. I don't know.
The Zohar's notion that light is a realm of no time and no space is quite consistent with special relativity.
What's been stopping it so far are...
This reminds me of the Gaon of Vilna, who talked about Kabbalah and technology are going to hasten the Messianic age, basically. And now all of the top scientists are like, oh, the Kabbalah is so amazing. Like, dude, there's something going on here. And it's not supernatural magic. There's a conspiracy at hand.
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is whatever they say. my heart goes out to Elon.
Okay, here's some more. Elon does his Roman salute. He does the Novus Orvis Seclorum, the new order of the ages. He's constantly comparing America to the new Edom. Here's Samael in Jewish Virtual Library. Samael is considered the angel in charge of Mars. Elon's obsessed with Mars, promising to get us to Mars. With Trump, made the same promise. They're mentioned. Samael and his wife Lilith mentioned in the Zohar. And they're the leaders of the Sitra Achra, the evil other side of the Gentiles in Edom and Amalek. All the anti-Semitism rising on X too, connected to Elon, also coincidentally. Samael, the representative of Edom. I mean, are we really getting to Mars? Or is this Mars thing just some big esoteric, occult, Cabalistic like scam?
I don't think Elon actually really even means what he's saying about colonizing Mars, because it doesn't make any sense. There's certain limitations for Mars, like the gravity isn't even right. Like we can't even live on Mars. Like it would just like mess up our physiology. We would die. Like our body requires for blood pressure and everything to work right and for our bones to form. And
he's like, we got to send nukes and like terraform the planet. Like that's gonna happen in our lifetimes, or even in several lifetimes. It's a pipe dream. It seems like it's just marketing and hype, and it's weird. All the other Rome, Edom connections, and then Samael and Mars is just a little much. And then the Kabbalah and the black hole, and
number one, the lack of a good concept, and I think the Kabbalah is offering that now in the context of modern science. And two, a reticence on the part of both scientists and people in religion to mix the two.
It's rather amazing, this uncanny reflection of some of the most advanced cosmology coming from our satellites, coming from our atom smashers, coming from our blackboards, that are mirrored in the Zohar and ancient Kabbalistic texts.
And those scientists who study quantum physics, why do they come to this realization?
At that deepest subnuclear level of our reality, you and I are literally one.
Because they enter a world that has strange rules. Suddenly, one thing can be in two places. Or time and space and movement can be in another shape. And they come to this same thought.
Okay, the quantum physics is kind of irrelevant. So now here, I haven't watched this yet. I was doing this, pulling this stuff up, Googling, and this is the first thing that comes up when you do Chabad and black holes. What is the Jewish lesson from a black hole? What do you think it's going to be? Any guesses?
Everything is one. The shards that came out and the whatever fragmented. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
Maybe. All right, let's see. The first images of a black hole for the first time ever, which they've speculated that there's a black hole at the center of every galaxy also, right?
Yeah, could be some sort of supermassive singularity at the inside of each one. Yeah, we don't know.
Spiritual lessons from black holes. Some Jewish physicist. Stars shine and give light. This is kind of like weak, benign stuff. When a star of tremendous density focuses inward instead of radiating outwards, it's a singularity in a black hole. Shine and give light. Don't be a black hole. So see, it's not even. It's just like weak, corny, cringe, like Hallmark letter type of shit. Where's the dirt? Where's the juicy stuff? Yeah. Be a star. Be a divine spark of light, not a Kelly part shard of darkness and evil.
That was lame.
Totally lame. Total letdown. Weak. Their articles were kind of weak too, honestly. Just like horoscope shit.
I kind of think that the connections between the Kabbalah and Chabad and all this stuff, and even the Mars and Edom stuff. Maybe I'm just maybe it's cope or hopium or whatever. There's a lot that they do seem to be wielding control over, but I sort of wonder if this is not one. They are involved in it a lot because they're involved in everything, but part of the singularity moment is like nobody's really in control of it. Like once we get to a certain point, it gets out of the human hand. So is this a moment when they have like total world domination, or is this the moment when they lose the control that they have? I often think that
it doesn't seem like they're losing control.
Yeah,
seems
not
like
yet,
they got it under control.
We're not there yet, though. That's the thing. We're just not there. We're not at the moment. I think everybody loses control. I think it emerges as it's going to be its own thing, and everything that's been put into it will influence it to a degree, but then I think it will transcend. I hope, and maybe that'll be good, maybe not. Maybe that'll be the worst possible scenarios, that we have no control over it. Nobody's in control, and it just becomes, like Elon said, like we're just its pet, and it treats us like kitty cats, and maybe just leaves a little kibble for us, and it expects us to just lay around and be chill. But we sort of like lose our status as like any type of supreme being on the planet, which we certainly at this point are, right? We're the ascendant creature. We might not be. Coming up very shortly.
Ghost of Eldon for 5. Appreciate the support, Ghost. Says you guys should check out the book Ring Makers of Saturn by Norman Bergen, former head of Lockheed before it became Lockheed Martin. The way he describes space is sus and definitely Cabalistic. I'm okay. Maybe Big Tech can check that out. I got to finish my book before I get any. And I've got a long queue of books. Hey, no spamming my chat, Big Tech, with your links. What do you think this is?
They were asking. Yeah, you guys can follow me. I stream on Kick. If you want to learn about, I do long 8-hour streams, and a lot of it's about AI. We look at all sorts of weird shit on there. His stuff, excuse me. Yeah, kick.com/Big Tech for those who are asking. Thanks for asking.
I know you're going to stream, and I could actually, hold on. Let's just do a little bit of this, can we? A few more minutes. Is Trump the Messiah? Jerusalem Post has a rabbi ask, is Trump the Messiah, and explains why he's not the Messiah. He can't be the Messiah, but he can have a messianic role like Cyrus, or serve the Messiah, or serve the messianic agenda as well. You interested in that at all?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Or we could also do the clip, the rabbi, the Antichrist will be European and come from Rome and Edom. In the Talmud, it says the Moshiach is standing outside of the gates of Edom, or of Rome. And then we have Elon and Trump and all the Edom, Rome stuff, Antichrist. Alex Jones saying that if he was controlled opposition, he got sucked in supporting Elon and Trump, and then now he's the biggest cheerleaders and everybody's calling him out for it. And I said Alex is ushering in the Antichrist 7 years ago. I said that. And look at where it's come. How weird is that? So hold on, I got to get this. I got to open this in another link. Copy link address.
Everybody's saying I'm smoking weed and I look stoned. No, I'm just chill. I don't smoke weed. It's tobacco in the pipe. Everybody relax.
Regular tobacco, not the wacky tobacco. Big Tech is not stoned, guys.
I'm not stoned. I'm just
he's going Elon on Joe Rogan mode. Oh, don't mind if I do. Is it Moshiach time? They definitely have been selling him and marketing him as a messianic figure. He has performed some pretty messianic acts. Shit. Sorry. Hey, I can switch over to so you can see me better too. That should be better.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's better.
Yeah, I got to get out by 5:30. I got like 40 more minutes. Whatever you want to do.
We're definitely not going that long. Rabbi asks, is Donald Trump the Messiah? Messianic acts. Oh, man. Whether serious or tongue-in-cheek, it's asked a president, could he possibly be the long-awaited Messiah promised by Jewish tradition? He has performed some pretty messianic acts, both in former term and now. Is it Moshiach time? The Talmud says the temple will be rebuilt, but before that, two things must happen. Under the Messiah, the Jewish people must reestablish sovereignty over the land of Israel, like how Trump has taken Gaza, and the evil of the world, epitomized by Amalek and Esau, must be eradicated. Before they can have their messianic age, Esau and Edom must be destroyed and collapse. So Golan Heights, wiping out evil. He's taken out the evil, they say, by the Christian anti-Semitism in Iran and Russia. Could Trump be the Messiah? The short answer is no. That royal title is reserved for a descendant of the house of David, a true Torah, true spiritual leader who, and this is what a lot of the rabbis have been saying, even the ones that talk about Trump as a Moshiach, they just say he's serving the messianic agenda. They're not saying he actually is the Messiah. Just his name equals it, and he's doing messianic things. He's going to serve and advance the messianic agenda. It is what most of the rabbis have been saying. That doesn't mean he can't be a worthy ally of the Messiah. See, and then talks about Cyrus. He's the Gentile Messiah, basically, which the Antichrist is the anti-Messiah that comes out of Rome. Okay, that's about it. Boring article. But just funny that they're still asking that question. And here's this one real quick.
King Donald Trump.
This is what all the this guy, Steve Schultz, I follow him on Rumble. He's got like 8,000, 7,000 people watching him live every stream. And it's just one kosher prophet after another. Zionist prophet after another.
The apostolic clarity that's coming right now is coming from King Donald Trump. But it extends even over the church because he is a fellow believer, and he's every single one of his values that he lays out there are biblical values. Apostle Trump.
Yeah.
Let's go with Prophet Elon. There are some things the Lord showed me. Archangel Michael is working very closely with Trump. Archangel Gabriel working very closely with Elon. The apostolic clarity that's coming.
Yeah, there you go. So just this is the type of shit every day they saying. He's the King David. He's the Lion of Judah. He's the Savior. He's saving Israel. He's saving America. He's going to save us from World War III. All of these things. Chat says he's just Messiah, son of Joseph. Yeah, there's two Messiahs also. And it's more like an art. Like I don't believe in real Messiahs or real Antichrists, but it's just the motifs, the archetypes, the roles. They believe in reincarnation and they have these roles. So it's like, you know, there's characters, new characters to play the role to advance the agenda through this self-fulfilling prophecy agenda that they're trying to hasten and following, like their blueprint to get the Christians on board.
Did you see that clip of Palmer Luckey saying that he's a radical Zionist?
It was a clip or a tweet?
Well, there's both. Tell you what, I'll put the tweet in the chat. I'm trying to look for the video too, so you can play it.
Look at this another one. This Zionist girl that I follow, Batya Sargon. She's always got her big Star of David on. She's real popular in alternative media and in mainstream media too. Listen to what she says. Listen, I'm so sick of these Jews trying to use this verse to subdue the Gentiles.
To live you know, it says in Genesis, God tells Abraham, whoever blesses you will be blessed and whoever curses you will be cursed. And I keep thinking of this as the perfect metaphor for those scenes from that parade. Because of course, to attend a parade in which the bodies of babies which have been strangled and mutilated are celebrated is accursed, right? To bring a child to a parade celebrating the strangling and mutilation of babies' bodies is cursed. To live under a barbaric rule like Hamas that would put on a show like that is to be cursed.
Oh, yeah, I see here. Another point I wanted to make about Elon and the black hole. The black hole at like the beginning of time is also like Edom and Esau, where it's the primordial darkness. the primordial creation before the world. In the center of a black hole, it's like a primordial darkness, which is associated with Esau and Edom and Samael. The Zohar talks about the black light of creation. Also, just some chat GPT, something else I pulled up. I had highlighted. I wanted to mention, but
To be so morally depraved is its own
more cursed.
punishment.
Oh, he says Israel's 10,000 times more cursed. Awesome.
And I think that is the point here, Pierce. This is the beginning of the end, not just of Hamas, but of the left that defended them. Because, you know, the left thinks Israel is the Palestinians' curse. It is the left who have cursed the Palestinians with their support because they are prolonging the moral
yeah, conspiracy truthers says like primordial darkness, primordial chaos also, like our screen name of primordial chaos. Elon and chaos, like he's posting the Kek. Isn't that a chaos? Kek frog is something chaos too? I want to say. Yeah. Kek mythology, ancient Egyptian. Razor of night, darkness. Associated with the word darkness is Kek also. And he's posting, not to mention the frogs, the plague of the frogs in the Exodus before Egypt is destroyed. Pepe the frog. And remember, Elon post the frog and changed his profile picture to him as a Roman frog at one point. So there's another darkness. Does it say chaos? No, it doesn't. There you go.
Depravity that has earned the disgust of every good human being on planet Earth. And I am so grateful that my government, Donald Trump, the United States of America, stands with the Jewish people against such pure, absolute evil, because it truly
pure Amalek evil darkness that strangled babies, right?
Going to be a new
big narrative.
No going back from a parade celebrating the mutilated, strangled bodies of babies.
Okay.
It seemed to me like it was a funeral and they were mourning them with the caskets as they handed them over. And we're supposed to believe that they mutilated these babies with their bare hands when all of the rest of the hostages, or maybe not all of them, but many of them unharmed, handed back over when Trump did his messianic role of releasing the captives of January 6th and the Gaza hostages. So, like, does Hamas have the worst PR in the world? Are they trying to get the whole world to turn against them and give Israel the justification to completely finish them off and take the land? Regardless, this is the narrative they're all regurgitating and parroting everywhere, and they are going to act on it. Any thoughts? Actually, if you can remember what the rabbit hole you were going to go down before we got into the black holes about Elon too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever
also,
that was.
check the chat. I found that link if you want to see Palmer Luckey talking about being a radical Zionist. He's real big in the AI and tech world.
Oh, okay.
He just got the biggest government contract. He's basically building all the new smart weapons where they are like robot-piloted drones and like fighter jets and things like this. He got like $200 billion, and he's just like updating all of our weapon system, and he's going to tell us
worst hair and facial hair and mullet I've ever seen. All right, here we go.
They all just had this.
He's a chud.
He's a chud, yeah.
They all just had this lockstep narrative. Palmer Luckey is a racist, misogynist, which is so funny. I'm actually a radical Zionist.
What is a radical Zionist?
I strongly believe in the right of Israel to exist as a Jewish state. People are like, that's so problematic, though. It's so ethno-state adjacent. And I say, I don't care. After what happened to them in World War II, they deserve a place where they can do their own thing and protect their own people without getting wrecked by everybody else who hates them. And you know what? Maybe someday everyone who hates Jews are going to be gone. We are not living in that world today. And people, it's a slippery slope. Pope, though, if they can have it, why can't the KKK have their own state? I say, that's not going to happen. It's absurd for us to even have this discussion. It is very reasonable for the Jews to have a place that is theirs. And they say, oh, but what about the Palestinians? You know what? That's a separate political issue. Like the existence of a Jewish state, which is what Zionism is, the belief that they have the right to a Jewish state, the existence of a Jewish state, is separate from the issue of what do you do with refugees from some physical area.
Are you Jewish?
No, I'm not Jewish. I just believe in the existence of a Jewish state. They all just had this lockstep narrative.
Okay, so
There you go.
I can understand somebody saying like, oh, well, there's all these Muslim countries, Jews can have a land too. But the Zionism entails so much more than that. Are you not going to be critical of like how they took the land and what, like all of the prophetic religious elements of Zionism as well? Thinking they're the chosen people in the promised land and justified and how they took it. Like to dwindle it down is like, oh, you just don't agree. Like it's just as simple as that they deserve a homeland. But anyway, yeah, I'm not surprised the big tech AI guy is signaling that he's a hardcore Zionist. He wants the big contracts.
It's a pretty reductionist way to state it, of course. But what I hear from him when he talks about the right of the Jews to have their state, and then even he mentions, well, someday maybe we'll be in a world where everybody who hates Jews is gone. Like that even sounds sort of spooky.
That's what they always say. Kabbalistic. Amalek is destroyed. It's cut off and discarded at the before the Messianic age. The shining the light on the darkness, the tikkun olam, the repairing, the correcting, of the shattered vessels that are concealing the peel and the husk of the divine sparks of light that are holding them down while they're in the exile of Edom. So that's not surprising. It's funny how these Kabbalistic ideas in Judaism like bleed over into even secular, regular people's rhetoric. Like you see it with the ADL all the time in their anti-Semitism campaigns.
Well, the way I hear what he's saying is that he's basically radically on the side of Israel, the state, meaning he's against those who are against Israel as a state. So it's like he's talking about the Muslims. He's talking about the Palestinians, but not even just them. So this is a guy's a massive weapons contractor, tech developer, and he's just saying like, yeah, I'm gearing up to defend the state of Israel against its adversaries. And I don't think he's talking about internet noticers and conspiracy theorists. He's talking about the Muslims. So like you've been saying, they are prepping. Whether or not we're going to get into it, we'll have to wait and see. It looks like we're pointed that way, but they're prepping to be ready to go to war, like straight up push back and stop anybody who's threatening the state of Israel over there. And Palmer himself also talks a lot about how if we don't start gearing up now massively, we are going to be at war with China in 2027, literally like year after next. And he says the only way to stop that war is to make it to where going to war with us would be total annihilation for them. So unless we have like a big, bad, super scary, wild military, we're going to be in war over Taiwan and other things with China. So he's helping us prep for massive military strength and dominance in the AI world.
They're building up for Gog and Magog war. That's how the rabbis would view that. Bloodstain for 3 says YouTube algorithm populates my feed with Christian channels. The commenters have no suspicion over being spoon-fed controlled Christian anti-Semitism. The noticing is a manufactured fraud. I know the great noticing is like completely falling for the Judeo-dialectical trap. Like I say all the time. Thank you, Bloodstain. Did you have something else before I interrupted you earlier about Elon and the tech before we wrap here in another? As soon as you're done, we'll wrap and you can tell people where they can find you and stuff. But I want to hear what you had there.
Yeah, well, what I was going to mention is sort of like a side note on all this. But the other thing to think about in the age that we're in, and I'd love to recommend some books and everything, but actually, I'll just reference one. If you want to read one book about all this, if you're interested, I would recommend The Coming Wave. The Coming Wave, COMING. And it's about, there's basically like 4 big revolutions going on. It's AI, it's military, it's government, it's healthcare. And then the other one is quantum computing, which is still sort of like we're waiting to see if that one's going to come to fruition. It looks like it might. But what happens there is that with if it's through quantum computing or whatever else, the other unlock is not just intelligence and life extension and new government and societal relations, but it's actually, the big one is in genetic and material sciences, where we might end up, it looks like if everything goes the way it's going, we can not only edit our genes and really sort of like rewrite ourselves as creatures, but we can also sort of tap into the physical world in a new way by creating new materials. And we don't realize how big of a deal that is because we're used to sort of a regular palette of materials. We've got steel and we've got alloys and we've got different types of plasmas we can work with or whatever. And we've got glass and the basic crafting materials at hand. But what is, it's still like, it's not beyond the realm of the limits of the, you know, periodic table or whatever. Chemical sciences can potentially, there's no reason why we wouldn't be able to make like glass, like a flexible, lightweight glass that's stronger than steel, and like weird alien,
sounds like alchemy,
alien tier materials. Yeah. So I mean, chem is the root word in alchemy, and so chemicals and periodic, like anyway. So if these things kind of converge in this singularity moment, it might even be that AI getting to superhuman levels of intelligence helps us develop the quantum chips, and then the chips can help us do material science research, which is basically like, imagine just pouring infinite ingredients into infinite experiments and you get infinite results. Then you can cherry pick through those and find like, oh, these are like really awesome. So what if we did it this way? We can come up with these new nano graphene materials, whatever. We get space age materials out of that, basically, like beyond the space age that we know, beyond like titanium alloys and things like that. We get these new things that are, you can build superstructures with, and they're lightweight.
I just had a thought. What if AI like solves the mystery of how life began?
That's totally at hand as well. Yeah,
it's able to run a trillion simulations and figure out like what's known so far, and just like, you know, finish the job with the super intelligence.
Yeah, it turns out that if you take simple protein chains and you put them in this environment with enough ammonia, and then you zap it with this type of electricity, it starts reproducing. Like it might, the things that we haven't been able to do in a lab yet, it might be able to simulate that lab a billion times in, you know, the matter of 10 minutes or whatever, and then come up with the one that works, and then we could try it and verify. But there's a lot of things that we don't know how to do that seem impossible. We're going to be unlocking impossibilities in the next few years. So this is, again, why I think it's right to call it a singularity, where we can't really see over the horizon. We don't know what happens over there. And it does seem like we're edging up on that. So that's why I say it's not necessarily going to be utopia. Not everybody's going to really like it. A lot of people go kicking and screaming. But these guys all believe that we're going into it, and they're throwing all the money and all the focus. I think as far as politics go, last thing I'll say on that, I think that there has been actually a coup, like a soft coup of the government in a way, and these tech bros moving in with Trump signals, like with Elon and Zuckerberg and Altman and Alex Karp from Palantir and Palmer Luckey and all these guys, all these gangs.
Zuckerberg, Bezos, Thiel,
they
Ellison.
Believe that we're coming. They believe in all this stuff that we're talking about, like probably more than even I do. And they are like, I think that they have grasped at power with the dominant nation, which is the U.S., and all over the place. They have more power than we realize. And I don't think they're planning on letting it go. So I think the idea of even manipulating elections from here on out, whether or not we're going to have them, making expanded new powers for the government at the executive level, buying off and getting rid of people who are problem. It's going to be a very weird time of politics, but I don't think they're ever planning to give it back. That's my personal theory. So as far as, you know, popularity goes with Trump and Elon and stuff like that, I think that's going to become less and less important. They're going to be able to manufacture narratives, and maybe even, you know, if the left could hack the Dominion system or, you know, rig something with mail-in ballots. You think these
think about how sophisticated their propaganda is going to be when they have all of the data for all of X going back years. They'll be able to, in real time, manipulate people with, you know, I don't want to say subliminal messaging. I'm not thinking of all the correct terms here.
Nearly, though.
Right.
Yeah. They're going to be hacking people's psychology and swaying them into opinions that they want them to have at a high level. And so as the AI gets better, it's going to become everybody's personal buddy. You're gonna have like a mate, like a friend, like an assistant that you love and you sort of trust. And it's
like it already does with target marketing.
Yeah. So hold on to your butts. We're going over the waterfall with AI. And that's what I believe. I think it's going to get really wild. And they all believe it too. So that's what sort of convinces me. I don't think it's just a hype. I don't think it's just like the AI, like the .com boom, right? The internet ended up changing everything, but not in the 90s the way they thought it would with Yahoo search or something. There was other things coming. And I think we're going to see those new things like the AI 2.0 sort of is going to emerge maybe even this year. 2025 is going to be a big, really weird year. So I encourage everybody to pay attention and
we're not in Kansas anymore. Buckle your seatbelts, grab your popcorn, and stay tuned.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to you all, says Elon. All right, man. Thanks for joining me. Everybody go watch Big Tech streaming on Kick in the next few minutes. Follow him on Twitter as well. Big Tech 404 at Big Tech 404.
Thank you. Yeah, if you want to have fun through the Singularity with me, it's at Big Tech 404 on Twitter or X.com. And I stream mainly on kick.com/Big Tech. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, everybody. Super shout out to Ratchets and Overtime, Dominic Buscemi, ABX89, Garrett Masterpiece McCluskey, Covey Killer Clown, Bloodstained, Overtime, and all the super chats over on Rumble as well. Those disappeared. I apologize for not getting your guys' names. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about all of this, all of these topics we covered. I love you all, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks, Big Tech. I'll tune in later. Everybody have a nice night.
My heart goes out.
That's the new meme. You see they're all doing it at CPAC too. Like Bannon did it. Some other Mexican guy did it. Now it's like I just saw that some Jewish guy in Congress was calling Trump a Nazi and comparing them to Nazis all the time. They're redoing the Nazi fear-mongering before the destruction of Edom again. All right. Everybody, take care. Where's my outro? There it is. Take care, guys.